All right, welcome everyone. So today we've got a great guest for you, a very different type of recruiting we're going to talk about. This is Scott Haas in real estate, facility management, and a former Marine. And because what I really want to talk about that is military transition. I know there's a lot of that going on now, but Scott is literally and figuratively has been on the front lines of recruiting, and from hiring mission critical data center teams where, if your computers are down for a minute, cost you $1 million with downtime type stuff, to using what I think is going to be really interesting, because I've had a theme of this in the past, is how can you recruit without using Indeed? How about using heat maps on a local basis to find the people you're looking for? We'll talk about some stuff like that. So welcome, Scott. Give us a little bit of intro about yourself.
Sure. Thank you. I appreciate being here and having an opportunity to chat further about stuff that you mentioned. I've been in human resources and recruiting for 25 years and just always wanted to figure out a way to make it easier for others, especially for the veteran community. I remember the transition process for me was a bit of a headache, and anything I could do to remove the proverbial landmine, I would, and also make it understandable of the skill set that the military community brings, and military spouses for that matter. And then I've always had a love and passion for skill and trades. So those are things I find near and dear.
Yeah, it's awesome. Especially now with the skill trades, and we talked about in the green room a little bit, is the deficit among the whole that's needed in some of these areas. So how'd you go from, say, military transition to mission critical? Everyone's talking about data centers and stuff right now because of the trillions of dollars being pushed into it. And then how'd you move that from data center security, super IT guys to guys and gals, I should say, to trade skills? That's a big jump.
Sure. So the transition and I was Marine Corps Infantry, so there's no direct line. A lot of left turns, a lot of right turns. So the focus for me was I got into private security and learned I wanted to expand that footprint, if you will. So I wanted to learn other fields. And so I had an opportunity to get to skill and trade. And I worked for this automotive company out of the port of Tacoma. I was covering the West Coast when it came to HR as a regional HR manager. And we were doing recruiting for automotive and rail. And that was the door that opened up everything. And so to me, what brought me to the level of BJS is just a series of working with the skill and trade programs, getting into a workforce development program locally. And so for King County here in Washington, where Seattle is, it's Seattle King Workforce Development. And then down in the Tacoma area of Washington, there's the Tacoma Pierce Workforce Development. And so those two groups have resources and connections to skill and trade programs. And at that time, there were resources dedicated towards the employment I had with auto warehousing, which you can see on the website. And then the other company was ThyssenKrupp Aerospace. And so it's like, once you leverage those programs, you get interconnected to all these different groups. And so I just realized I enjoyed the skill and trades. And I saw the writing on the wall 20 years ago with the skill and trade and the deficits, as you can either sit on the side and complain, or you can do something about it. So I chose to do something about it and just help participate like everyone else is doing. And it just opened up the doors from there. I did cybersecurity for a bit. That was fun. That was
Yeah.
a lot different than anything. But when that company was acquired, I ended up going to BJS. And when I started there, it was just data centers and critical infrastructure. And then over the years, through a series of acquisitions, the business expanded to commissioning, facility services, facility management, to commercial HVAC and beyond.
Wow. Wow. So the transition, it seems like the transition really rolled up within BGIS as well, where you just started getting more. You're doing the trade skills. You got, hey, now we're doing the cybersecurity stuff, and we're still doing trade skills. What is what's the market for trade skills I'd say in the U.S. now. If we mentioned your son's is going into them, what's happening in overall with the market with trade skills right now?
Huge deficits. There's not enough youth going in there. Thankfully, I've been positioned in a spot where I can show my kid, look, you can go to college. There's nothing wrong with it. But the jobs right now or in the trades, the future millionaires are going to be the ones that are going into the trades because of the deficit. And I don't have hard numbers to present, but it's astronomical. And it's not just for data centers. It's for shipbuilding. It's for the aerospace industry. It's for the automotive industry. It's for maintaining power grids. So it's kind of scary. There has to be a huge positioning for the youth to get into these types of programs and
Yeah.
workforce development programs to work with like Department of Labor to help really subsidize and expand. And it's good to see places like Google and other places or corporations support apprenticeship programs because that's what's
Yep.
really going to happen. It's the New Deal where they built
Yeah.
the roads. These are the new roads that need to be done. And the
Yep.
infrastructure needs to be built up again. It's
Yeah.
crumbling and it's old.
Oh yeah. And yeah, I think there's going to be, it's interesting you say the New Deal because it's imperative. I mean, and we're doing this. Someone had mentioned this little side conversation, but someone had mentioned that more money has been put into infrastructure in the last couple of years because of the power grid requirements for all these data centers and whatnot.
Mm.
It's the biggest GDP investment since the railroads.
Yeah. I'm not
Yeah.
surprised.
Yeah. And then that should just tell people, hey, look, you're thinking about, you're in community college and you're thinking about where you're going to go, roll up your sleeves. Like
Yeah.
that's where you're going to go. The money's there
Yeah.
too.
Exactly. The one of the things I told my son was when I was working for a company called ThyssenKrupp Aerospace, the CEO of the parent company, ThyssenKrupp Materials, he started off in the trades.
Yep.
The man was very successful. It's like, just because you start in the trades doesn't mean that's where you're just going to end. He ended up going to college. So it's just a starting point.
Yeah.
And it's a good starting point because you won't have debt.
Yeah. Yeah. There
Like
was
money.
interesting about that because I think there's another part of the market that people aren't talking about is even in the local market where you've got HVAC companies and electricians, if the owners of those companies are in their 50s and plus, they're retiring out in 10 years, if not sooner.
Not soon.
Yeah. And may somebody be holding on and they may not be digitized. So there's a huge opportunity of finding some of these guys who have a book of business, who want to get out, but they want to work with somebody who can actually come in and see the upside and grow it and help automate it. So you can use your college education. But I think one of the other things I've learned on doing these podcasts is that the best VPs of talent acquisition and CHROs that I've interviewed, they have all gone to four corners of operations in the business. They didn't just come up in talent acquisition. They went from HR to talent acquisition to operations to all these different areas because that's how you learn a business, not just reading books in college.
Right. Hands-on, get in the trenches, learn it.
Yeah.
You don't have to be an expert at it, but understand it.
Yeah. So tell me about this one story about the heat maps, because my philosophy is more and more that everyone spends so much money on Indeed because, you can't get fired for it. But in the reality, you're getting inundated with unqualified candidates that you could never hire, but you're then hiring a team of recruiters to look at the unqualified candidates. And if you just said, can't we just get better qualified candidates instead of doing the shotgun blast? So give us a little lay of the land. What is this heat map thing and how did it all start?
Sure. So the heat map it stemmed from conversations over and over with the executives about we need to have these really catchy job descriptions to lure people in. And it's okay. I would say until I was blue in the face, you understand that unemployment's low and that's not what's going to lure them in. And they would have there's certain hiring managers that had the mindset of, why do you want to work here? Wrong answer. Why? How could we make sure that they're a good fit for us? But we want to lure them to come work for us, not push them away mindset. And the other part was the heat. This is where it goes for the heat map. How many candidates are in the area? Is there a viable headcount worth us going after? Because we wanted to get a solid understanding. And this was especially when we took over new accounts. We needed to know, and there was Tulsa, Oklahoma. There's this particular certification. We need to hire 5 candidates in this one location.
Yep.
And there were 30 people there. All 30 were working and had been with their companies for years, some of them
Yep.
decades. And then we went to the city registration to ask for who has these
The
certifications.
license. Yep.
And it's like, it was so limited. And it says, okay, what are other similar certifications that are out there that we could go replicate? And then maybe they will pay for the testing for a person. And so I wanted to have an argument of, hey, here's some people that have transferable skills, but we need to relocate them. And we don't have the budget. It's like, okay, we're going to keep recruiting for 6 months and not have anything. Or we spend the money now, relocate somebody, have them test out, and they could be gainfully working in a short order. And so it was having the argument, and I shouldn't say argument, it's just a debate of here's the best return on investment.
Yeah.
Let's spend the money on the relocation. Let's incentivize it by putting some type of bonus there. And that way, it's better to have a person in the seat earning money, even if the profit's a little bit less, than nobody in the seat and not earning any money.
Yeah.
At least that was my outlook on something.
I'll interrupt you really quick. You just did what I think most recruiters fail to do consistently. You created the business plan. It's a P&L issue.
Yeah.
So when you go, as you did, and it seems like, hey, you have to argue, you just have to plead your case by numbers, which
Right.
is the language of a CFO. That's
Right.
it. So yeah,
There's no emotion in it.
yeah, there's nothing. It's just, there are 30 of them and they're fully employed. We may be lucky and get a couple, but we need 5.
Right.
And if we relocate them, we might be able to do this math, but the other
Mhm.
math doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
Great.
And it's finding with transferable skills. Is it the same as the certification in Tulsa? No, but we had people that knew of that and they're in Tennessee or they're in Texas or wherever. Are they open to relocate? And what do I want to go to Tulsa? Oh, look at the cost of living. It's so much cheaper. It's like we'd even look at the economics of one city to the next to sell it to somebody. Oh, you love fishing or you love hunting? Hey, take a look at this location. And it's just finding their things that motivated them to relocate.
Yeah.
And then it was just, even with the heat map, as silly as like when we're in big cities, where's the flow of traffic going? Like in the New York metro area, or where are the most technicians? Because there's the data centers that are in downtown New York or New York City, and then have them move around, or in the Bay Area. Which way is the flow? Where are most of the technicians? And okay, and then which companies are these technicians working at? Because that was also part of the labor intelligence tools that we had for the heat mapping. I was like, okay, we know we can't compete with these 5 companies, but these other companies we've never heard of, let's go after them and then start doing this research on those candidates.
Wow. So so the heat mapping, what's the technology you use for something like that?
The company was originally called EMSI. They're now Lightcast.
Oh, Lightcast. Yeah.
They're a great resource that we've had.
Yeah. Great. And what's really interesting about this conversation too, is because although it's 5 individuals, 5 roles in that one example for Tulsa, you can do this if you're hiring 10 people, 20, even if you're a small restaurant franchisee, if you're opening a new location, things like that. I don't think the cost is ever very much considerably, because you can post 5 jobs on Indeed and blow through the same amount of money that you could have at least had some intelligence before you blew the money.
Yeah. The other byproduct that came out of it is the business development team, when they would go out for proposals, they started coming to the HR team. It's like, when does recruiting have a seat at the table for business development in their proposals? And so they wanted to know the average salary in those particular regions. And so here's what we're seeing. This is what competition is doing. And it wasn't just looking at labor intelligence. So we'd look at that and then we'd go on to ZipRecruiter, Indeed, whatever job board, and see what the comp would say there, what other information was there. And then now we have actionable information to make appropriate decisions to ensure that the bid's worthwhile and wins the opportunity for the company.
Yep. Really awesome. This is another thing that we hear more and more. Oh, is AI going to take a recruiter's role? I'm like, There is everything you just said for the last 25 minutes is on a single AI prompt that would ever do any of that.
It's getting leadership to understand that.
Yeah. Yep. And no, the CFO is not going to get eliminated by a prompt because
No.
it's a gut decision and a risk. And you can't
Right.
give the risk level to AI because you can't trust it.
Right.
Yeah. And which tool to use? It's not going to know about the Lightcast model and why those skills may or may not work. I mean, it
Yeah.
might have the data, but you'd have to know how to prompt it in order for it to say, confirm your guess, right?
As it can say, oh, I think you should do a relocation and a bonus and whatever. Yeah, it does resource. I'm sure you can program it to do that, but
Yeah.
understanding it and then not just that, but selling the location because some people are content with where they live and you have to upsell the area. It's like, what's your intrinsic motivation? I love the outdoors. Oh, great. This is great for outdoors. I hate the outdoors. Oh, okay.
I hate mosquitoes.
Yeah.
I don't know where you're going there.
Yeah.
Maybe the desert.
Exactly. I love the heat. Oh, okay. Hey, have you looked in Phoenix, Arizona or Dallas? And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it just, those are always the things that are important to get the human side of it, to understand what motivates the folks. And unemployment is all over the map right now. But if you're skilled in trades, if you're not working and you're in a skill and trades, in my opinion, it's because you don't want to.
Yeah.
There's so many jobs. And aside of that, I forgot I was going to go with this. It'll come back to me in a
Well, so
sec.
let me ask you about with the skill and trades and the facility management and things like that. What's the average? Anytime you talk about recruiting and averages, you have to segment. Okay, this, that, and the other. But
Yeah.
how long is it taking to recruit in those roles right now?
So we were, I wouldn't say fanatical, but we were very hardcore came to data. I always joke that there was at one point, there was two acquisitions of companies and we were rolling into a new applicant tracking system all within the first 6 months. I think it was 2024. So it was a bit of a nightmare. And we had four data points. So we had company A, company B, BGIS, Taleo, and then we were converting over to Oracle Recruiting Cloud.
Yeah.
And so executives want to see one report.
Yep.
And
Oh God.
nothing
I'm a data
matched.
guy and I'm like, God.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I think most of the gray hair came from that, but it was, how do we do this? And it's like, okay, I am no expert, but let's try Power BI, ran the reports through it. And then it met with each group. What do you want to see? What do you want to see? And so like talk to ops and payroll, and then talk to the executives, and then had a template. And then so every time we fed Power BI, it put it in the template. There's your dashboard. So to answer the question without sounding so long-winded, is we knew it was for skill and trade roles in the major metro areas, we could fill it within 33 and a half days to 38 days. It would vary depending on the time of the year.
Wow. Wow. That's cool. But it all comes down to the data. Otherwise you're like 60 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we tied ourselves into the technical colleges, the trade school programs, private and nonprofit. We tied ourselves into the local bases. We had it dialed into where we knew which bases produced the most roles for the skill and trade. We had it down also where we knew which military jobs. So for the Marine Corps and Army MOS, for the Navy, it's called a rating, that if this was your job in the military, it equals this over here.
Yeah. You can transfer them and yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's awesome. I don't want to say I want you to come back on another podcast because I want to talk about how to engage local trade schools. And I think everyone's got the problem now with nurses have had it for 20 years. Truck driving companies are partnering up with schools, if not buying them. But I don't know that most companies have figured out the strategy to do it. They're like, oh, I'll just go post some stuff over there. But it's building up that ongoing campaign with the candidates while they're in school. And then as they're coming out, before they get out, be the first and be their liaison during it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The successes I have found is you can't pick, you can't have, unless you have the ability to support 20 plus schools, pick your top 5.
Yep.
And then you try to find out who within your workforce is an alumni from there. It gives you some
Ah,
credibility, just
yeah.
like the military. And just like when I did college recruiting, I would look for alumni in an organization to come with me to the career fair to give credibility.
Yeah.
You have your alumni there. You have the pre-have conversation with the CFO about, hey, can we do some type of scholarship? Even if
Mhm.
it's $500, $200 to help pay for books or whatever, and then have it in our name.
Mhm.
You participate in every career fair. And then if you have the opportunity, because you have the resources there, if there's a local facility nearby, do like a reverse career fair where you can have people come out to the site to see what you're doing. And that
Awesome.
really gets it involved. But you have to maintain consistently. It's like a garden, constantly nurturing those relationships
Yep.
of those. For me, it was 5. If it was more than 5, I knew I wasn't going to be able to pay attention. But then it was like passing the torch to the recruiters of, hey, you need to sustain this and keep growing it, nurturing it, and see where it goes. When we would be invited to small pizza parties and barbecues, it's like, go to it.
Yep.
It's silly and contrite it may seem, just do it because you're going to be a face and then the company's going to be known for being there. And not a lot of places do that.
It's interesting because I think someone who has, there aren't, you know what, there's literally aren't that many recruiting teams like you, Scott, that have done that. And very few have scaled it.
Yeah.
And I had one of my first recruiting chatbot clients was a truck driving company. And
Mm,
I sat down with, it was early on. So I was heavily involved in building out a chatbot for them. It was
hmm
all decision tree, but you would ask, do you have your CDL license? And if they said no, they said, are you looking to? And then we'd still get their location. And then we say, here are a couple schools for you to call. And we
Yeah.
would send them leads because we couldn't
Nice.
hire them. And
Sure.
it wasn't me, but the company. And that gave the school credibility, and it was a perfect handoff. So they
Right.
had people, anyone that they couldn't help right away, they supported their local schools. And then the local schools, they were always the first company to say, hey, if you're serious and you're a good driver and things like that, you got to talk to Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just building that and sustaining it. And you become that go-to person. It's really nice.
Yeah.
But you got to make sure you have recruiters that have the same philosophy,
Yeah.
not just post pray and screen resumes. That is so outdated. It was outdated a long time ago.
When Monster was doing it, right?
So look at them now.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So let's wrap this up. Thank you so much for being on. Any final words or suggestions to HR folks that are in skill and trades or military transitions? Where might be a good place for them to start if they're just trying to get their tip their toe in the water?
So for the military, there's a lot of great resources out there. The ones that come to mind that I've used in the past, I would suggest to others, especially if they don't have a big budget in the beginning. Hiring Our Heroes is through the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Great resource. There are pay-to-play things there, but they have career fairs all around the country. Majority of them are free, and it's a great way to get into that world. And once you're there, there's all these companies and resources that are going to come to you and talk to you about what you can do. For skill and trade, just because I'm slightly biased, having worked for the state of Washington at one point for workforce development, look at your local workforce development groups. In some places, it's Workforce Development Council, and other areas it's something different. But workforce development, and then put in your city or your county, and something will pop up. And the best part about that is it's free. And for skill and trades, they're tied to funding resources with the local community colleges and trade schools. And there's also tax credits, the work
Yep.
opportunity tax credit you can get out of it. And that
Perfect.
can add up. I
Oh,
was actually able to capture over 200,000 in tax credits for one location from the hiring we did.
wow. That's
Yeah.
good.
So
Great insights. Appreciate it.
yeah,
All right. Thank you, Scott. Hopefully I'll have you back and we'll talk more, go into some details on some plans and some things that if folks want to hear about. So let us know. And Scott, how could people find you? What's the best way to reach you?
you can find me on LinkedIn. It's Scott, S-C-O-T-T, Haas, H, 2 A's, 1 S.
Gotcha. And we'll definitely put a link there for your LinkedIn profile on the
Awesome.
podcast. All right. Thanks again, Scott. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jonathan. Take care.
Thanks for spending your time here with GoHire Talks and listening to our guests. My intention has always been to create incredible content to help you in your career in recruiting, marketing, business, and leadership. We appreciate all of the insights and feedback you provide. If you've got guests you'd like us to have on the show, please let us know. Again, thank you for all your support.